A new suspect, but this one refuses to talk. This case is more interesting than I first imagined.
I need to prepare a chemical agent that is capable of removing fresh ink. For this purpose, the chemicals from the flasks should be combined in a certain order to perform a chain reaction. First condition, all 7 reagents should be used. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent. First condition, all 7 reagents should be used. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent. No, something isn't right. I need to start the reaction from the beginning again. No, something isn't right. I need to start the reaction from the beginning again. No, something isn't right. I need to start the reaction from the beginning again. I need to prepare a chemical agent that is... No, something isn't right. I need to start the reaction from the beginning again. Done. Now I can proceed further. Let us see if the content of this letter sheds a little light upon the mystery. I did as you asked and hid them well. Interesting. How would Hurtley react to this? My analysis table. It is useful for my work.
A new suspect.
I need to take a harpoon with me.
How is the investigation going, Mr. Holmes? Do you have any idea who the murderer is yet?
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. So tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what did you hide?
Hide? What are you talking about?
I did as you asked and hid them well. Should I continue?
My letter? But the ink? That's impossible.
A touch of chemistry, nothing special.
Well, you're a smart one. But it's nothing. If you want to know, I was referring to my tools. It was to do with my work, see?
I will check that, Mr. Hurtley. That's all for now.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing.
At your service, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes?
I need to take a harpoon. A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful. A map.
A new suspect.
Brave Toby. The best nose in the British Empire. my archive. I can always consult with it if needed. These boots match the footprints exactly. Locked. Does the name Liam Hurtley mean anything to you?
No, I don't know anyone by that name.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Thank you, madam. That should do it. Now I am ready for the experiment.
and use her. Well, here we are in the preparation room. I can't say that I like the smell of it much. What do you intend to do?
To indulge myself in a little experiment. The challenge of lancing a pig's carcass with a heavy harpoon.
A little experiment?
Stand aside, Watson. This might be dangerous. I am not well practiced in this exercise. Yet.
Holmes, you should aim for the mark in order to perform the most reliable test. Holmes, you should try to aim better and throw as hard as you can.
This is the best possible result that I could get. Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall requires either exceptional strength and training or diabolical luck.
If it was luck, then it was a chance in 1,000 that night.
Well, yes. Let us leave now.
All right. But before we go, I suppose I'll have to pay for all these carcasses you've happily mangled.
Very well, but please hurry.
Of course.
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what were you doing at Woodman's Lee?
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
Tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what were you doing at Woodman's Lee?
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
Tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what were you doing at Woodman's Lee?
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
Tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what were you doing at Woodman's Lee?
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
Tell me,
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
tell me,
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
tell me, Mr.
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
The second pair of boots that you had with you when you were arrested perfectly match the footprints found near the cabin where Peter Carey was murdered.
Footprints? That's your proof? How many men have boots like mine? That doesn't make me a murderer.
Now that your presence at Woodman's Lee has been proven, would you care to explain it?
I don't remember. What would I be doing there anyway?
Because you are the gardener at Woodman's Lee.
I'm not. How did you...
I observed your hands. They told me that you work with the earth. Small fragments of plants snagged to your trousers indicate that you were mowing very recently. But the most obvious clue presented itself in the bird embroidered on your handkerchief. A crested tit, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, you got me. Yes, I am a gardener, and I went there to get my tools.
That's all for now. Hurtley's stories are false leads, but now I know one thing for certain. I must examine the site where the garden tools are kept at Woodman's Lee.
What am I...
I'm not saying another word.
A new suspect, but this one refuses to talk. This case is more interesting than I first imagined.
Madam, we have information that the valuable stolen papers are hidden amongst the garden tools here at Woodman's Lee. We need to find them.
Oh my. Our tools are kept inside the shed that's right behind me. Here is the key to open it.
Thank you, madam. Let's see what could be hidden here. Let us see what is in this box. A bundle of letters in a woman's hand with the Carey family monogram. Hurtley and Mrs. Carey were in a relationship. That is interesting. Madam, I am aware of your affinity with Liam Hurtley.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Madam, I am aware of your affinity with Liam Hurtley.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Mrs. Carey, we found your letters.
My letters? I asked Liam to return them to me. I wanted to burn them.
Why did Mr. Hurtley put them inside the garden shed?
I don't know. I wanted them back, but I couldn't see him, not after what happened.
Well, here they are.
Oh, this is terrible. Terrible. Liam, how could he? After what he has done.
You believe that he killed your husband?
No, I do not know. I do not know. Leave me alone, please.
Thank you, madam. I wonder if Wiggins has managed to find any sailors. The case is solved. I am now ready to present the guilty party.
So tell me, who killed Black Peter?
There are two culprits, Inspector, Nelligan and Hurtley.
What? Well, I would never have guessed, Mr. Holmes. They are a rotten pair, though.
It was a combination of two motives, culminating in one crime.
What were their motives?
The first was revenge. Black Peter possessed the bond certificates that had belonged to Nelligan's father, and young Nelligan wished to retrieve them.
And the second?
The second was a crime of passion. Liam Hurtley was in love with Black Peter's wife, and this caused a conflict between him and Carrie.
Well, well, well. Makes sense, Mr. Holmes.
I suggest that you organize a small confrontation between the two, just to confirm my accusations.
That's a good idea, Mr. Holmes. I'll talk to these fellows. Join me in the interrogation room. Gentlemen, we know everything about your association to kill Black Peter. Admit that you planned it together.
Our association? I don't even know this man.
You needed to kill Peter Carey. There had to be two of you there.
Ridiculous. I'm innocent.
All that remains is to determine the level of guilt. Which one of you is the initiator in this case?
But I just told you I've never seen this man before.
It's him. He's the culprit. He was forcing me. He threatened me. He's the mastermind behind it all.
Shut up. You're a lunatic.
Well, it all seems very clear, don't you think, Mr. Holmes?
Both are guilty, of course, but I believe that Hurtley was the initiator of the crime.
It's ridiculous. Why would I need the help of this weakling?
You wanted to be rid of the man who was terrorizing his wife, and who prevented the two of you from being together. Young Nelligan was just following his lead.
You are wrong. I have nothing whatsoever to do with this.
You'll explain that to the judge.
The case is resolved, Inspector. I shall return to Baker Street.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. Goodbye for now.
Leave me alone, please.
I wonder if Wiggins has managed to find any sailors.
Mr. Holmes, we found the sailors from that list you gave us.
Well done, Wiggins. Let me see. This is interesting. Let us review the other sailors now. This is interesting. Let us review the other sailors now. This man is a harpooner, and his initials are PC, the same initials that were found on the tobacco pouch. Wiggins, could you gather some information on one of the sailors that you found? His name is Patrick Cairns.
We found Patrick Cairns.
Good job, Wiggins. Where is he?
He lives in a small furnished dump of a room, but he's always at the Sea Witch pub, where he does arm wrestles for money and drinks.
Excellent. Here is your reward. 2 guineas.
Thank you, sir.
If I wish to speak to Cairns without alarming him, I had better dress as a sailor. Now I can approach Cairns and see if he recognizes the pouch.
What should we do next, Holmes?